Uh, so we have launched the Mobilogue. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Noshin Chipa, Research Associate at Center of Excellence in Urban Transport, CRDF. Welcome everyone to the fifth Mobilogue, Gender and Mobility. The Mobilogue is structured in three parts. The opening session, in which we will have the welcome address, the keynote address, and context setting, followed by the poll questions. Then we'll move to the technical session, in which our esteemed panelists will present on topics related to gender and mobility. The last part of the Mobilog would be the closing session, in which we will take the questions from the participants and then followed by the closing remarks and vote of thanks. All the participants can send in their questions in the chat box. Now I would request Dr. Shalini Sinha, Executive Director at Center of Excellence in Urban Transport, CRDF, to initiate the Mobilog and deliver the welcome address. Over to you, Dr. Sinha.
Thank you, Noshin. Yeah, thanks, Noshin. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the fifth Mobilogue, Gender and Mobility, as a part of the Smart SUT Mobilogue series. This series is a part of National Capacity Building Program organized by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, jointly supported by GIZ India and CRDF CEPT University. As part of this Mobilogue today, we will be discussing several initiatives which have been taken up by different cities to facilitate the adoption of gender-inclusive transportation. I'm very happy to welcome Ms. Meeta Rajiv Lochan, IAS, Member Secretary, National Commission for Women, who has kindly agreed to be here with us to deliver the keynote address and share her thoughts and experiences on the role of gender-responsive policies in ensuring accessibility and safety of women in the mobility sector. I extend a very warm welcome to her. For the technical session today, we have with us Ms. Deepthi Mahapatra, General Manager, Capital Region Urban Transport, Bhubaneswar, Mr. Biju Prabhakar, IAS, Secretary, Transport Department, Government of Kerala, and Chairman and Managing Director, KSRTC, Ms. Gayatri Zariwala, Deputy Commissioner, Surat Municipal Corporation, Ms. Paula Tapia, Head of Infrastructure and Transportation of the Metropolitan Regional Government of Santiago de Chile. The technical sessions would be moderated by Ms. Andrea Blumen, Senior Technical Expert, Smart SUT GIZ, and Ms. Krishna Desai, Technical Expert, Smart SUT GIZ India. We are also very delighted to have with us Mr. K.R. Jyotilal, Principal Secretary, Government of Kerala, who would be delivering the concluding remarks. On behalf of CEPT University, I extend a very warm welcome to our keynote speaker, panelists, moderators, and participants. Welcome, everyone. I would now like to invite Ms. Meeta Rajiv Lochan for the keynote address. A very short introduction of ma'am. Ms. Meeta Rajiv Lochan, she is an IAS officer of the Maharashtra cadre with an interest in ideas and policies that will empower India. Currently, she is Member Secretary, National Commission for Women, Government of India. Her current role concerns facilitation of institutional mechanisms to provide support to women in distress and to work for the cause of women empowerment. During the COVID lockdowns, the NCW operated a 24/7 helpline for women in distress and also for families in need of rescue and emergency supplies, which has now been converted into a permanent mechanism. Ms. Meeta has also discharged senior management responsibilities in several positions that she has held over the past 30 years. She has been Additional Director General, Foreign Trade in the Department of Commerce, Government of India. She has served in the Higher and Technical Education Department, Government of Maharashtra, where she was instrumental in improving the quality of teaching and research in the higher education in the state. She was instrumental in introduction of future-oriented subjects like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and robotics, and launch of UG programs in these areas. As Principal Secretary Reforms in the Department of Finance in the state government, her role was concerned with piloting financial reform measures with a view to improving efficiency of expenditure in the state. She has worked in the Directorate of Municipal Administration in the Government of Maharashtra, where her job involved facilitating leadership in urban local bodies to prepare and execute development plans. She facilitated the implementation of Swachh Bharat campaign in urban local bodies of the state, and several councils from the state were shortlisted in the national awards for this campaign. She is also an avid writer and has published a number of articles and books with matters dealing with matters of development and public policy. Her latest book is on making India great again, learning from our history, that has been published by Manohar Books Delhi and Routledge London in 2020. Welcome, ma'am. The floor is yours for the keynote address.
Thank you so much, Shalini ji. Very good afternoon to all friends. Friends, it's a privilege to be part of today's Mobilogue series on gender and mobility. That's part of the capacity building initiative of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Friends, worldwide, there is an increasing focus on mainstreaming gender sensitivity into transport policy and planning. Safe and efficient public transport is key to opening up greater job opportunities for women. It's very well known that the travel patterns of men and women are very different. Women who have greater parental responsibilities tend to make shorter trips. They try to stay closer to home. And if we are able to build a safe ecosystem for them, then that is reflected in one very important metric to which I would like to draw your attention, and that is women's participation in the workforce. Now, when we look at the data on women's participation on the workforce in India, we find that over the last few years, it has been steadily coming down. And at one time, it used to be about 33% for women of age 15 years and above. Today, it has come down to about 28%. And when we look at the breakup of the women's worker participation ratio between urban and rural areas, a further point of concern is that the ratio is actually higher in rural areas. In rural areas, it is about 32%, while in urban areas, it is as much as 9 percentage points lower at 22%. Now, why should this be the case? To our mind, it suggests that in urban areas, we have still not been able to build up a responsive ecosystem where women feel that they are safe to travel to different places. And while data on this point is not very widely available, I would like to cite one study that was conducted by the Ola Mobility Institute. They conducted a survey in 2018. They had surveyed over 24,000 respondents in 11 cities, and 41% of this sample was women. They found something interesting. They found that more than 50% women in the lower income strata, those who have a monthly income of less than 15,000 a month, they heavily depended on public transport for reasons of affordability. And also they found that there was a great deal of some level of trust in the public transport system. 45% of those surveyed felt that it was relatively safe to travel in public transport. However, when you drill down a little more into the micro data, they found that 80% of those surveyed lived within a 15-minute walk of bus stops. And after that, only 46% of those surveyed said that they either walked or used a cycle. That's non-motorized transport. The balance preferred to either use autos, cars, or shared transport, even to travel to a bus stop. And all studies show that shared transport is definitely much more unsafe when you compare it to public transport. So now, why should this be the case, and why have cities in India been unable to build up a robust and safe public transportation system? When we look at the Nirbhaya Fund, we find that this was one of the key objectives of setting up the Nirbhaya Fund. Since its inception, this fund has allocated 5,712.85 crores, and in the last 5 years, the Ministry of Women and Child Development figures say that rupees 3,766 crores has been released. Now, the projects for which these funds have been released are mostly to do with the CCTV installation at buses and stations, vehicle traffic tracking systems, app development, panic buttons, and monitoring centers. As many as 8 cities are implementing safe city proposals. So now, given that this has been a very important objective of urban public transport planning in India, and we have also made infrastructure investments, why is it that such kind of outcomes do not see much improvement? So over here, one thing that I would like to share in my experience of the last 30 years is that very often we in the public service or in urban planning also, we tend to focus too much on technology. There's no doubt that technology is very important. Artificial intelligence is transforming the world as we know it. It's transforming public policy and governance also. No doubt it should be used. However, at the same time, when we talk of technology, it's also very important to look at human skills and human resources. Are they working in tandem with the technology? Are we using the outputs of whatever technology platforms that we have created? And here I would like to share one observation experience that we have had. I have been a Maharashtra Cadre officer. I've served there for 30 years. I would like to draw your attention to an experience that Bombay City had. This was in July 2005. Now on 26 July 2005, Bombay City saw the highest ever downpour in 100 years. They received 944 of rain in a period of 24 hours, and that beat all records. So those of you who recall, they also know the kind of devastation which those floods wreaked, and it had a very high toll on life, on damages and such like. Later there was a detailed inquiry conducted into the matter, and when we look at the events as they panned out on 26 July, the rainfall had already begun during the day. Most of it was in northern Bombay. However, information about this did not reach southern Bombay, where the Secretariat and Mantralay, the seat of government in Maharashtra, is located. So subsequently, those who were conducting the inquiry, they looked at the records that were available in the Secretariat. There is a disaster management cell in Bombay Secretariat. So the records of that disaster management cell were called for. There's a register, and when that register was opened, what they saw was quite astonishing. They saw that there were a series of messages from different police stations in northern Bombay which recorded that water levels were rising, and that in some places there was serious flooding that was going on. And this went on from approximately post lunch onward till late night. That was a time when all senior officials, ministers were right there in the Secretariat, and they didn't get the message till the day afterwards. So then they called there was a constable on duty in the control center. He was called and he was shown this record, and they asked him ki bhai, you were there, you were reading all these messages, so how is it that this information was never reported? So his answer was very interesting. He said that sir, these kinds of messages come every day. It's a routine matter. We have been seeing them and recording them for the last so many years now, but till date no one has ever asked me what these reports are all about. No one has ever queried me, and since no one has ever taken any interest in the contents of this register, I did not report the matter. I did not wish to trouble my superiors. So now this is I think a very, very significant insight into how systems function. You can set up the best CCTV monitoring systems in all the cities, in the bus stations, in the train stations, panic buttons everywhere. But unless you are reading the feed, unless you have a data monitoring cell, unless you're analyzing that data, all the technology in the world will not help you. Human resources must keep pace with technology. To my mind, I think that is the one area that we tend to be very weak on, which is why we should take these capacity building seminars so very and focus on them and have these kinds of discussions. After all, it is only when we learn from experience that we can improve these systems and see that they actually work. In the National Commission of Women, I'm happy to say that we work towards implementation of gender equal laws, and for having a more gender neutral society and equitable society in India. And it has been our experience that India has one of the most best laws of any country in the world. On paper, there is nothing to be faulted. However, when we come down to the ground and we look at actual implementation, that's when there are very, very serious issues. So we need to see that whatever we have planned for, whatever laws, rules, technology, it has to reach down to the lowest possible tier of governance, and we have to revisit our experiences, to look at the data, to discuss it, and then to see that whatever we have put in place actually functions. Are we monitoring the response times to distress calls, and what is generally our response in situations of stress? Because it is situations of stress that tell us whether we have actually succeeded in implementing whatever system it is that we have invested in. Government can make resources available to our bodies. However, this last mile connectivity, this important business about engaging human resources and upgrading their skills, this will always remain a local concern that must be addressed locally. So friends, that's all I had to share today. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this Mobilogue. I am very happy to contribute whatever little information I have and to be part of the dialogue. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you for the insightful keynote address and talking about how human resources need to be upgraded to keep in touch, to keep in pace with the technology. Now we will move to the technical session. Before we move to the technical sessions, some key points that I would like to highlight, some key questions. Some of them have already been highlighted Meeta ma'am in her keynote address. When we talk about mobility being inclusive and how cities are now focusing more and more on having equitable access opportunities across the gender, it has been realized that mobility needs of men and women are different, and transport is not gender neutral. So that has also been highlighted, ma'am. So that's the first point that I would like to make here. The second one is for women, while they are traveling, safety and security becomes very, very important consideration, and that influences how they travel and what time do they travel and related decisions. And therefore, designing transport systems which are safe and secure for them becomes a very, very critical component. While we're talking about designing such a transportation system, we need to understand at a more local level about the travel behavior of women. And for that, what we need is a disaggregate gender travel data. Without that, we will not really be able to have a comprehensive approach towards making gender sensitive decisions. And therefore, how do we collect that kind of information? That becomes very, very important. The fourth linked point to it is transport sector in general is male dominated, whether we start from the level of the drivers, conductors to maintenance, even coming up to the professional or at the managerial levels. Also, it is largely male dominated. And therefore, if you're talking about a gender responsive transportation, we need to have emphasis on including women as workforce, and that would lead to creating a safer, more secure, and a more gender responsive transportation system. The last point or a question that I have is, while we are focusing on gender and mobility, most of the initiatives or many of the initiatives tend to be more of an add-on initiative rather than something which is more systemic, or rather which is more integral part of the planning process. And hence, in the entire process, how do we bring gender planning into the process? I think that is what we also need to move towards. With that, I would like to invite Ms. Andrea Brummel, Senior Technical Expert, Smart SUT, who has more than 25 years of experience in project management of complex urban planning projects to take this session forward. Yes. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Salina. Yeah, good evening and good morning also to everyone. I hope Ms. Paula is also with us now. So welcome to all participants also on behalf of GIZ India and our Smart Sustainable Urban Transport project, Smart SUT. My colleague Krishna is also with me, so we will be the moderators of today's session, and we will do our best also in our role as the timekeeper. Before we start, we have a few poll questions for all participants. The first two are yes and no questions, and the others are multiple choice questions. Are we ready with the poll questions, Septi? So yeah, yes, please. So you can take it here. So and this is a little warm up. Next one. Next question. Are we going to use a multiple choice question now? What question? Here's the result. Now I see it, yeah. So, okay, so 88% agree that the travel pattern of men and women are different. So, and yeah, they do avoid the public transport due to safety reasons. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Next question. How can we promote gender inclusive transport? So there are is a multiple choice question. So is it accessible bus stops, metro station, surveillance cameras and adequate lighting, staff sensitization, women's staff, and or no change needed? Everything is good. We have a few minutes. Okay. How can we promote gender inclusive transport? So the majority thinks surveillance camera most important and adequate lighting. Then we have both, so accessible the bus stop, metro station, and women's stop, both with 23%, and staff sensitization 18%. But no one who said so. There's no change needed. So in general, we all agree things need to be done. Okay, thank you. Next one. What are the key barriers women face in the travel journey? Unreliable services, unaffordable transport services, unsafe first and last mile, and lack of information, or crowded or deserted public transport system, or there are no barriers. So key barriers are, so we mostly, most agree that 55% that the most important thing is an unsafe first and last mile and lack of information, followed by crowded or deserted public transport systems, and then unreliable service. So, so no one thinks unaffordability or is that, yeah, is important, and yeah, no one agrees that there are no barriers. Yeah, okay, so totally we agree that need to be, many things need to be done. Thank you. Then I would like to welcome our esteemed panelists. So again, also Ms. Dipti Malpato is with us, Mr. Biju Papaka, Ms. Gayatri Jariwala, and Ms. Paula Tapia, and also Mr. Jyoti Lal, who will give the closing remarks later. To start with Mr. Jyoti Lal with a more detailed introduction. So he is IS and is currently the Principal Secretary of Transport and Aviation in the government of Kerala. He has been instrumental in the implementation of various reforms and innovations in the transport sector in Kerala. To mention few, the Safe Kerala project, introduction of solar boat, approval of the EV policy. Initiatives such as the development of a command and control center, live tracking of buses with panic buttons, transformation of KSRTC services under implementation under his administration. To introduce the panelists, we have with us Mr. Biju Papaka. He is IS, Chairman and Managing Director of KSRTC. He currently holds the position of the Secretary, Government of Kerala for Transport Department and CMD KSRTC. He has also held the position of Secretary at the Social Justice Department. He has been instrumental for improving women's safety in the transportation system in Kerala and for implementation of various initiatives such as the Anti-Kudo, under which night shelter facilities have been developed within the premises of bus terminals, introduction of women-driven autos and taxis, live tracking of buses with panic button, and various awareness programs towards women empowerment. Then I would like to welcome also again our speakers. So Dr. Gayatri Jariwala, she is Assistant Municipal Commissioner from 2012 and Deputy Commissioner from 2019. She successfully leads the general administration as the Zonal Chief or Central Zone of Surat Municipality Corporation. She also plays a crucial role in Surat Municipal Corporation General Administration as Divisional Head of Recruitment Department, Municipal Press and Central Record Department. She is involved in major welfare section of SMC. She believes that to empower women, engage them with livelihood is the only key to success. She has led the initiatives beyond the assigned duties to empower urban weaker sections, particularly women. Think Auto is one project that she has been involved in. Then I would like to welcome Ms. Paula Tapia. Could we mute this one speaker? Oh, I don't know who it is. She was Tapia. Ms. Tapia is currently the head of infrastructure and transportation of the Metropolitan Regional Government of Santiago de Chile. She is founder of the international organizations Women in Motion and Future City Network. She was the first woman to lead the Chilean Ministry of Transport. She created the first working policy review group of public and private sector, promoting a gender vision in transport and increasing female participation in the sector. As minister, she approved the first national policy on gender equity in transport to promote the incorporation of more women into the transport and to additional women. And a warm welcome also to Ms. Dipti Malpato. She is the General Manager of the Capital Region Urban Transport, CRUT, in Bhubaneswar. She is Officer on Special Duty at Odisha State Road Transport Corporation, OSRTC, Secretary at Berhampur Development Authority, and Deputy CEO at Ganjam Urban Transport Service, GUTS. She looks at the city bus operations at CRUT and GUTS and intra and interstate bus services at SORTC. CRUT was established in 2018, and under his strong leadership within 1 year, CRUT has achieved multiple revenue and ridership targets. Mobus, Odisha's first city-managed public bus service system, has won awards and recognition at state and national level already twice in 2019 and 2020. Dimesmia Pato, I would like to press you as first speaker to present your experiences on how CRUD has been able to bring women in transport as part of the workforce. Thank you. And oh, you are not audible. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea.
Yeah, welcome.
The screen will be shared from our end or from your end, Andrea?
I think from your end.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just gave you the rights.
Okay. Yeah, visible?
Is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Deepti Mahapatra representing Capital Region Urban Transport, Bhubaneswar, Odisha. The topic on which I am going to give a presentation is all about gender sensitive public transport, which CRUT is all about. Please, yeah. CRUT as an organization is actually the first of its kind in Odisha. Before CRUT came into existence, there was a separate entity called BPTSL in the year 2010 under JNNURM. But the services that were provided under that BPTSL were a little bit different. It was operating on net cost model. Then CRUT actually came into existence in the year 2018 November, and this is primarily a PPP model operations, bus operations, and the best part of CRUT is that from the day one, actually I am here continuing since last more than 3 years, and whatever mobility plan that has been decided for CRUT was based on providing a gender inclusive public transportation system. Next. Here are the few lines bridging the gender inclusiveness, where from the beginning only there was a policy decision taken at the highest level that the bus conductors, whom we actually call as the bus guides, we would take them as minimum percentage we have kept was 50%, but we were open to make it 100% if required. But till now we could achieve only 40% bus guides as the women conductors. And we have the mandate also to actually run the e-mobility, e-vehicle sector entirely through women, transgender, and other marginalized communities, and empowering women and transgender to be the operators that will raise the profile of public transit as a safer mode of travel is the vision of CRUT. All the smart technologies, what Nita ma'am already spoke about, that technologies actually give us a kind of safety features to ensure that all feel safe. In that way, we have the CCTV surveillance from the beginning only. There are onboard announcement system, emergency panic button. We have the Mobus app through which we can actually do all the ticketing and other necessary applications. And we do have the centralized command and controls center also. Next. Where not only the CRUT ITS is being integrated, it is a command control system of the entire city of Bhubaneswar, where the integration of health department, fire department, and the police administration has been made. So any emergency that is required by one of the department is immediately attended by the other departments. That is the best part of the command and control system here in Odisha. And we have constructed in the first year itself 200 well-lit bus queue shelters to ensure safety for the public waiting for the Mobus. These are the shelters which are protecting from the rain, and there is a map also showing in the entire big network of our route map is displayed on the Mobus bus queue shelter. Just beside it, mostly there are integrated public bicycles sharing stands are also located, and we have got separate dustbins for the waste disposal, and we have provided good benches for the passengers to sit and wait for the buses, and there are bus marking on the road where the more buses are being stopped in front of the bigways. And these are the few features that we have shown. These are we have actually got one of its kind in India, I would say. From the beginning only, we do the gender disaggregated ticketing system, where the if a woman travels, then it is actually displayed in the ticket also. There are few seats that are reserved for the women, and as I have said, till now we could achieve the 40% female conductors in our bus staff crew, and actually we are providing concession to the senior citizens and specially able people. As I have told that we have got the gender-based ticketing in our buses. The impact are as follows. Bhubaneswar is the first Indian city to introduce the gender-based ticketing in public buses to collect the disaggregated data for the informed decision-making and actions to enhance human safety. From the beginning, as I have told before, CRUIT came into existence only when we were doing the policy-making decisions for its formation. It was there in the mind of everyone that whatever transportation we are going to provide, the gender sensitive approach should be there from the beginning only, starting from the designing of the buses till the formation of the crew or providing other safety measures. We have actually taken care in every possible aspect. The gender-based data that we are getting through this ticketing system has actually helped us in providing better services to the female commuters. As Mita ma'am has already said, all these IT infrastructure has no value if the data are not being analyzed and the solutions are not being given based on the data analytics. So CRUIT has actually done its duty in analyzing all the data that we are getting, and we are providing the reservation of female sitting capacity as per the data, and deployment of more female guides on the specific trips and routes, as we see on certain hours or in certain routes where the women passengers are more, commuters are more. Actually, we are taking a decision to provide a female guide on that hours and on that specific trips and routes, and basing on the travel pattern of the women, we are actually providing, doing the scheduling of early morning and late night trips to make them feel more safer with us, and deployment of separate buses for women on several occasions when we actually get the request from a group, or we see that on such occasions the travel pattern of women is more, then actually we are providing the separate bus services to them, and better planning at the bus stops also. Then we have actually a enforcement team, and on special occasions where we actually come to know that there will be more gathering of women commuters. This enforcement team are also deployed there to make the gathering feel more safer. Then planning of the buses for seasonal and holiday schedules dominated by females, as I have already told, and planning of integrated IPT services based on women's travel preferences, and planning for discounts by analyzing the affordability of females in certain routes and some very important occasions. CRUIT has taken decision of even discounts and free travels also to the women gender. And these are the data which when we go to the field and take the commuters view on what they feel about the public transport, they have said that they have before MOVAs came into existence and crude was under much pressures. There was restricted women movement and access to opportunities. The safety and security are always in the mind, drop of their mind at several locations and time. The ridership pattern, daily, route-wise, trip-wise ridership, and the affordability is also a question in their mind. The travel pattern of different age groups, boarding and alighting pattern, travel demand, travel preferences for the women. These are all the things that we have always kept while providing the bus services for the commuters. And these are few things that as a part of social responsibility and crucial public relation strategy, Crude is frequently engaged with its consumers in its social media handles to spread awareness on sensitive issues pertaining to gender sensitization. I must say here that Crude has a separate communication cell altogether, which is doing wonderful work in not only bringing the facts about the operations of Crude to the general public, but also creating awareness in the mind of the general public, so that being the commuters in our buses, they should realize the basic need of respecting the women and providing them the seats that is earmarked for them. And also there are on several occasions we keep on actually sensitizing the commuters, and we have seen when a woman or a lady, they come and stand, the young boys have started leaving their seats and requesting them to sit also. These are few videos that we have done on our own and uploaded in the social media handles. This is a issue of eve teasing being addressed. That is a video that is there in our handle, and addressing the taboo against menstruation that is nowhere talked about, but we have prepared so many videos and already uploaded in our social media handles. And every day before outsetting of the buses in the early morning, there is a practice from our end, our depot manager and our other staff, technical team. They do the counseling of the bus drivers and the conductors regularly, everyday basis. And every day we choose a topic on which they will be counseled, and almost every day, at least for 5 to 7 minutes, they were being counseled on the gender sensitive issues also, how they should behave with the commuters, how they should behave with the lady conductors. Everything is being counseled every day. And Crude always organizes comes forward in organizing big workshop also, and there is a 14-day mandatory training that is being given to every crew after they are joining. Drivers and conductors, supervisory staff and the technical team, all are being given mandatory 14 days training program. And one famous organization, namely Tata Strive, is engaged in giving this training module, capacity building module, in which the gender sensitization is one of its module. And last year during pandemic, we have done 100 hours virtual training through international experts also in the support with the support of GIG and the field of urban transport, where a dedicated session was also given importance on gender sensitization in public transport. Yeah, these are token of gratitude for women commuters on Women's Day. For last 2 years, we have been doing that. We have been providing free journey to all the women commuter on the Women's Day, and that has been highly actually appreciated from all the forums. Now it's about the first and last mile connectivity. As everyone has said, two things that actually make the female commuters feel unsafe about is the first and the last mile connectivity, because in the middle line the buses are there, but after getting down at their bus stop, they have to actually walk down for 10 to 15 minutes to reach out to the home. We have seen that people have concern on this, and Crude has come forward with its mission working to bridge this gap for providing this post and last mile connectivity as a feeder service to our mobile operations. We are on this job to provide this. Recently, we have started the training program on this. As a pilot project of 50 e-rickshaws on the inner corridors of Bhubaneswar, where the e-ride drivers will be the women and the transgender. These are the few pictures of women being trained to actually ride this, drive this e-rickshaws. In the first phase, we are training 23 women and 18 transgenders. Hopefully, this is one of its kind and very different one from all other SPVs or SQs. The training module is as follows, which is now continuing here in Bhubaneswar. The driving training for e-rickshaw and LMB also we are giving. It is all about the traffic education, e-vehicle mechanism and repairs, passenger management, public relations for drivers, emergency handling, organizational rules training, and operator training. We are providing training mostly in our regional language of Odia. Few pictures are shown here. The driving training session that is being imparted, which is actually undergoing for last 20 days or so. These are few pictures. In one of the training sessions, I was there to give them the training about the organizational rules and training of all about the crew. This is Ride with Pride, the experimentation with TG being the e-rickshaw driver. These are few pictures. I would like to give some insight in their selection. Actually, there is an NGO called Aruna being involved in selection of these TG and women for crew. It was not a very smooth journey. First of all these TGs are actually involved in doing the begging and prostitution as their primary source of earning and livelihood. So bringing them from that livelihood and giving them some other mode of transport livelihood for which they have to actually undergo 2 months training, then they have to be very disciplined and come under the roof of government setup. It took a long time actually, and adding to that, this pandemic delayed it for another 6 months, but thanks to the government, we could actually start their training program recently. And I actually feel it's a pride factor in us if we could actually bring changes in the living style and livelihood pattern of one TG also at the end of the day. Then actually our mission and vision of gender inclusive public transport is achieved. These are the testimonials and a few thoughts that has been shared by 2-3 TGs, where K. Soumya Rao is saying that I am proud to identify myself as a TG. I have been working for the last 5 years with NGOs and other such organizations. I have always wanted to be the change maker and have been enthusiastic about making a mark on my own. I feel working as an e-ride driver will enable us to earn money and provide us the dignity that cannot be taken away from us. I can do this very well and we all can. Actually, she is one of our participants who is undergoing training. Another TG is there, Khusidas. She is saying, I have grown up hearing derogatory terms. I spent my entire school life hearing from my classmates and teachers mocking at me, telling me I would amount to nothing in life. Those comments haunt me to this day. I was always interested in driving and learned how to drive in just a day. That gave me a different sense of confidence. This initiative seems perfect to me. I have the confidence to be on the road. With all these thought process and vision, CRUT has actually given a shape, and the impact is as follows. As of now, 40% conductors are women right now, and continuously we are trying to achieve the number 50% or even more. And we have a vision of 100% drivers for e-ride as women and TG, and other marginalized groups are also can be included later on. And based on a user perception survey, these are the facts and figures that we could get. 63% of the women users rated Mobus as safe and affordable. 85% of women feel highly satisfied with the availability of the priority seats. 66% women are highly satisfied with the grievance redressal system. Actually, here I would like to say any grievance that we get from the women, then it is actually being attended by a woman staff here only. In most of the cases, if I am available in the office, because since I am working in 2 offices, my availability is actually always in the afternoon post-lunch hours. But if at all I am available, in most of the cases, I also attend to the grievances, personally here to the grievances, and it actually gives me insight to do something better, taking the policy decisions. And 98% of the elderly Mobus users rated the ease of boarding and lighting as very good. 93% of the Mobus users rated availability of priority seats as very good. 91% of the Mobus users rated behavior of onboard staff as very good. 90% of the Mobus users rated the bus service to be very punctual. And 57% of the passengers have shifted from other mode of transport to Mobus in just 2 years. And within 2 years, I must say 1 year was really bad for every one of us due to pandemic. This is all about my presentation, but before concluding my session, I must add a few more points. A woman in the management actually can bring some more justice to the female gender or TG, whatever case may be. Honestly speaking, this public transport system is entirely dominated by male, and understanding the need of a woman during the travel can be well understood and designed by a woman. In that way, probably I am fortunate, and Kruti is also fortunate that I am since the beginning here, working here. And while designing the buses, while designing the bus stops, actually I have taken extra care in providing the safety concerns. And recently we have built 2 state-of-the-art bus depots also, where every care has been taken to provide separate washroom, separate dormitory, and everything, incinerators for the safe disposal of the sanitary pads, everything I have taken care because I understand the need of a woman at workplace. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the interesting presentation. I would now request Mr. Biju Prabhakar sir to present on how Kerala is moving towards safer women transport. So,
I would like to add a small word. So please, all the participants, share your questions in the chat box, because later we will have the question answer session. So share your questions with our panelists.
Is this audible?
Yes, it is.
yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry that I cannot devote much of the time with this. So I hope that Andrea has introduced me there. I am presently the chairman and managing director of the Kerala State Road Transport Corporation. Now also the secretary of transport Kerala. And previously in my stint as the Women and Child Department as its secretary, because I actually carved out of that department for the Social Justice Department, because the government of Kerala in its policy has clearly mentioned that we will give utmost importance to women's safety and welfare. So next slide, please. So the budget itself, there has been a campaign to reduce the atrocities against women, because Now, most of the time we hear a lot of stories, not only in Kerala, from outside as well. I like to see that presentation also. Then there should be special recognition to the local self-government for this target achievement, because we have given that kind of a target. Then we have initiated a project to identify and mapping the areas and sports where these atrocities can happen. For example, in local self-government, that's our panchayat and other places. Wherever there are certain sports which are the black sports, where there is a lack of illumination, or there may be a possibility of the assembly of antisocial elements, this will be identified by the local self-government, and that will be taken care of. They may install camera, they may install street lights, all those things. There is a self-help group called the Kudumbashree neighborhood groups, and they are also collecting the atrocities. These were the major announcements in the 2021-22 budget, and a massive campaign has already been proposed, but because of the COVID and other issues, it is actually in a subdued way. It's going on. Next slide, please. Then we have come out with the next slide. The Nirbhaya short stay homes. In fact, the government of Kerala has come out with a Nirbhaya policy way back in 2013. The word Nirbhaya, which is more or less synonym with the incident in Delhi. That girl was called Nirbhaya. This was coined by Kerala because we announced this policy in 2013, and the key interventions were the prevention, protection, and prosecution of those persons who are abusing. Then we have started this Snehita Gender Help Desk. These were the announcements. This is the latest only, but this has been going on since 2017 onwards in various budget support mechanisms. Next slide. Then in 2017, I was fortunate to be there as the Women and Child Secretary. I was the Social Justice Secretary, and we carved out of the Women and Child Department, which consists of three major portfolios. One is the development, which is actually taken through the Anganwadis. Then there is the women protection. Then there is the child protection and welfare also. Then women protection officers has now been appointed in all the district level. Now we are trying to bring it to the block as well as to the panchayat level. We have roughly around 1,000 panchayats over here. So every panchayat, there will be at least one women protection officer, and there will be one thing called as the one-stop center. That also has started in Kerala, but now it's a national program. There are service providing centers which are namely around 83. We may take up some 20 more now, which will give all kind of support. And this one-stop support, one-stop centers will also give all kind of support. First of all, for a victim of a domestic violence or a sexual abuse, is the medical treatment that is given. Then they will have to go for a police case, that is given. They don't have to go to a police. The police will come to these service providing centers or the one-stop centers. The third thing is the legal advice and the counseling as well as legal support to be given. The fourth one is the psychosocial counseling, and the fifth one is the stay of the person. For example, a domestic victim or a abuse victim has to stay away from the area where this has happened, so that shelter is also provided. Then we run as usual with any other women and child departments some shelter homes. Next slide, please. Then we have this women helpline, and apart from that, we have the 112 by the police. Then there is a WhatsApp helpline which we have introduced during the time of COVID, because there may not be possible for any women to make a phone call from her home, basically because the abusers may be there. It may be their neighbors, it may be their husbands. So that's why we introduced this WhatsApp helpline during that time. Then there is a national program which is called the 181 Mitra helpline. It's a 24-hour call center. All these facilities are there, helplines for the, and apart from this, the 112 is for the police department. Next. This was one of the major programs which we actually now stopped for the last 1.5 years because of the, and you can see that it's my daughter and my wife, my people are smiling at me. This was a night work, and we aimed at those places where usually women, children are really afraid to go in the night. We organized night walks. They walked in groups. There were some incidents where some kind of abuses were there. We arrested them. We organized a series of, at least for 3-4 months, on a regular basis, on any day. The women used to walk in the night. There was some kind of surprise element in the initial stages, but that was going off very well because women are really afraid to walk in the night, especially when there is no street light, when there is a history of atrocities against women in some places. That fear has to be taken out. So that was the night walk which was organized during the 2019 and 2020. Then there are other departments as well as the Women and Child department. In the KSRTC bus stand in Trivandrum itself, there is a one-day home which provides accommodation to the women at an affordable. I think it's some 50 rupees per dormitory. It's an air-conditioned dormitory. Next. Then there is something for the destitute people, marginalized women who want to maybe wandering during the daytime. They want a shelter. They cannot go and sleep by the side of any shops or in the verandas of shops. That should not happen. So Endergood, which means that is a nest. My Nest is a program whereby the safe night stay facility for the marginalized women who are actually the daytime workers, or they may be doing something else at Calicut and Trivandrum. The Women and Child Department is in the process of expanding this program also, and KSRTC is offering that kind of facilities in almost all the places as well. Next. Then Vanida Mitra Kendra, there are so many working women's hostels, and this has been classified as a very women-friendly initiative, where the working women's hostel, not only for those persons who are working, but for the travelers as well. So the Women and Child Department as well as Kerala Women Development Corporation is coming out with this kind of Vanida Mitra Kendras. In this place, next slide. In this place also, we are coming out with some kind of a safe stay. So we set up about a few rooms and we are bringing it into an app where traveling women can identify whether there is a room. At present, it is the mechanism is that they will have to call 181. They will identify that if you are going to Ernakulam, where all places where women can stay safely. And this is a very good initiative by the police department. You can see these kind of patrolling vehicles purely run by the women day and night across the major cities, called the Pink Patrol. Next. There are so many initiatives taken up by both the district administration as well as police in several districts, and this is one program in a nearby district of Kollam called the Safe Kollam. And again, women are we are all the time promoting that women has to roam around freely in the night, and this has started as part of as cascading effect of the night walk program of the Women and Child Department. Next. Then there is the Kerala Police app, and there is most of the police stations are getting converted to women-friendly police station, child-friendly police station. All these kind of different kinds of app which are coming out with you can even track the trip of a person, especially a lady who is actually traveling in the light. Next. Then Women Safety Year, that was commemorated 2020 as the women. So many programs by the police, Women and Child Department, local sub-government, so many programs, awareness program has created. But still people are reluctant. We'll have to come out, break that barrier and let the women will have to travel freely. Next. In public transport system. Next. Before that. So we are in the process of maybe the first stage. We are in the process of installing GPS location tracking devices in all the public transport buses, including the private as well as KSRTC. And the CDAC has developed an application called the Suraksha Mitra, in which all these kind of, I think it got stuck. All these movement of the vehicles, and there will be panic buttons which will be straight away giving signals to the 112 emergency response center of the police. There are Shri Autos, which is actually an initiative of the police department. I hope that you are seeing that there are Shri Autos in which there are, even if it is driven by male members, even if it is driven by the male members, but there is a separate logo as well as classification which will say that this particular auto is women friendly because the driver's name, address, everything is known to the police, and they have given those persons that tag to those persons who are actually well-behaved drivers in that sense. And the Kochi Metro has come out with autos specifically for the women travelers as well. Then what I was trying to show was that the sheet toilets which have been installed, some 57 toilets have been installed by the local self-governments in different locations. Those were the sheet toilets, so women can go to such kind of a toilet without the fear of getting, there is no camera installed, there is no kind of any kind of atrocities, possibilities, man by women, all those kind of things. Now, coming to KSRTC initiatives. Now we are in the process of installing this, as I mentioned earlier, these are vehicle location tracking devices. And we are in the process of setting up control rooms. And these control rooms, and in Trivandrum city, where we are actually revamping the entire operations of the Trivandrum city, we are planning to install some 500 cameras inside our buses so that it could be viewed from the control room. So that kind of a safety we are trying to introduce in our KSRTC buses. Then there were earlier the ladies ladies services, ladies only buses. Now we again with the a special branding is planned to be given for such buses with the cameras, and this will be playing in the peak time in different parts of this. And we have analyzed and we have found that nearly around 60-70% of our travelers are women. So we are trying to introduce shortly the feeder services using electric auto rickshaws as part of the 100 days program. Finally, we held a meeting with our unions, and now we are coming out with some kind of electric autos to be purchased by the government and given to, and if possible, run by the women as well. Then I was trying to mention about the KSRTC safe stay. We have 94 locations where we have the depot or the operating centers. Everywhere we have decided that there will be dormitories to single rooms where women can stay, run by the trained women, and there is no need for any women to go outside the depot. It will be well illuminated. There will be incinerators, napkin sales, there will be breastfeeding rooms, child play areas, and there will be 24 hours coffee shop. No need to step outside, and it will be starting with the district headquarters and other places. So that was one thing I was just trying to say. So these were the initiatives at the government level, mainly in the focus of the Women and Child Department as well as the public transport system. So KSRTC is also making itself as a women-friendly safe stay mechanism. We have already dedicated our seats. Now all the reservation seats are in red color. All the reservation seats meant for the ladies as well as for the senior citizens are in red color. So there is a clearly distinguishable seat color itself, which will identify immediately that this seat is reserved for either the women or for the disabled or for the senior citizens. So it has been also written. So many initiatives are coming from our side, and within next 3 years we are supposed to see that women travel throughout the length and breadth of Kerala any time of the day or night without any fever. Thank you. That's all.
Krishna, you're on mute.
Dr. Krishna, I'm not sure I could not hear any questions at all. If you can send me some questions, I'll definitely answer. But because most of the time audio from that side is not coming properly to my side.
Yeah, sure, sir. We'll do that. We'll try to address the questions at the end. And thank you so much, sir, for presenting the initiatives taken by Kerala KSRTC and by Social Justice Department under your administration, sir. We would now like to welcome Ms. Gayatri Jariwala to present her experience on how pink autos have been able to cater to the requirements of women needs. Ma'am.
Good evening. honorable dignitaries, fellow participants, a warm greetings of the day. I, Dr. Gayatri Jariwala, Deputy Commissioner of Surat Municipal Corporation, would like to express gratitude for inviting me as a panelist, and it's a great honor for represent Surat City on the platform of 5th Mobilogues on Gender and Mobility. My topic is Pink Auto Project. Surat, with a population of 5 million, in India's 8th most populous city and the 2nd most populous city in Gujarat, with projected population reaching 1 crore by 2036. During the period 2001 to 2007, Surat clocked gross domestic growth rate of 11.5%, the fastest in the country. Already popular as the diamond capital of the world, with 92% of the world's diamond being cut and polished in Surat. Another major economic drive of the Surat city is the textile sector. Besides being country's textile and diamond trading hub, Surat has also emerged as the India's highest ranked smart city with the largest number of projects implemented. Not able to share? Today, these are the key points to discuss in the presentation. Key point of the presentation. Next. Pink Auto project discussion point is project history, Pink Auto project inauguration, project's main focus and main benefit of the project. Pink Auto project history. Surat Municipal Corporation has been persistently doing gainful work in uplifting urban poor, particularly women, under program like DNULM, Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Urban Livelihood Mission, and special program like others such as Rakhi Mela, Navratri Mela, Garib Kalyan Mela, Seva Setu program, eco-friendly Ganesha clay idol making, Hunnar project, housekeeping project, and special training program for female also. We initiated Pink Auto project to change the societal mindset. In fact, our dream of seeing women working as auto drivers among 90,000 male auto drivers in Surat city inspired us to do work hard for the success of this project. The seeds of the Pink Auto initiative emanated from this fact. Pink Auto project history. Generally, middle and lower class have one vehicle which used by the men. So women have to use public transport for family responsibilities. For short trip, women prefer autos because autos are easily accessible. If public transport facility improper, it reduces the mobility of the woman. As Pink Auto driver, our experience is as a Pink Auto driver has always been better for safety and better aspects as a compared to men in driving and abiding with traffic rules and regulations. Pink Auto project is safe, comfortable, accessible, and affordable transporting option to women, school tuitions going children, adolescent girls, and senior citizen people in the city, as well as is better running option for the women also. Now we find the funding and financial model for the execution of this project. Financial fund was an issue to implement this project. The model adopted in the implementation of this project has worked with very little money, without allocating any special manpower, as well as the beneficiary get maximum benefits. Surat Municipal Corporation spent 5,000 rupees per beneficiary for computer training, learning license, driver training, and obtaining driving license. On capital cost of auto, that is 1,87,000, financial assistance in term of loan has been given by Bank of Baroda under Mudra Loan Yojana. Beneficiary get 30% capital subsidy under Vajpayee Bankable Yojana by district industrial centers. The main benefit of the project, Pink Auto project, mainly focus on providing employment to needy women through auto driving. Presently, 32 pink autos on road to catering the requirement of women and children of the Surat city. These auto drivers currently earn 20,000 to 35,000 per month, who otherwise used to earn only 5,000 to 8,000 month by labor work, diamond work, or any other household works. We use social media and other resources to promote the project. We contact schools, tuition class, hospitals, administration to provide livelihood to those auto drivers. Pink Auto Project enhancing empowerment through employment. Women become owner of auto. In fact, Pink Auto Project changed women's status in ownership or control over assets. The purpose of this project is to keep the women, children, and their family free while they travel by Pink Auto. The Pink Auto color is pink. Pink Auto drivers wear pink color dress, which provides a unique identity. The work under the project was halted due to COVID, but now it is again resumed, and currently more than 150 women are under training and will be on road on auto driver soon. We often refer to as our Surat city's Pink Army to reduce fuel emission. All the autos given under these projects are CNG use auto, and we switched this project to e-autos. Next, all autos under this project will be e-autos. The process undertaken in 3 stages. First is a meeting and training. Second is license procedure. And third is auto purchase and social media marketing. During the project, firstly group meeting, then meeting with their family members in order to convince them, followed by computer training in order to apply for learning license. After that, giving them practical driver's training in order to apply them driving license. After acquiring driving license, auto purchasing process, financial assistance from bank, and subsidy related process. On completion of all these stages, beneficiaries get autos. SMC has supported them in linking with various online applications like Ola, Uber, Zigno to get more distinct and special trips. What's the challenging of the project? Due to social, economic, and educational background to the beneficiary, we face some difficulties to execute this project. Woman as an auto driver, the family or society, even the beneficiary herself could not imagine. Their traditional mindset not accepted it. Our continuous meeting with family and their family members changed their thinking. Due to the educational background, the beneficiary has low level of computer skills. Online test is mandatory for learning license. We tied up with Bank of Baroda RCT program for orientation and training regarding online test. Beneficiary have not sufficient document to get license and bank loan. We help beneficiary in getting document from concerned authorities. Beneficiary feel hesitation to get driving training from male members. Now our first batch women auto drivers provide training to new beneficiaries. Bank finance 80% to 90% on the cost of vehicles. Rest of the money need to submit as a marginal money. We request banks to give maximum finance to procure auto. Beneficiary needed to give only 10,000 as a marginal money. We also convince auto agency to give credit to beneficiary who are not able to pay marginal money for the procurement of the auto. Initially, female drivers were hesitant to work among male auto drivers. Continuous motivation from our side and support of male auto drivers, also confidence among women drivers. Impact of this project. Impact of the Pink Auto project has been multi-level, or we can say multi-sectoral influence of this project. That is social impact, economic impact, psychological impact, public transport, and obviously security. The women involved in this project have broken the traditional social barriers, which have been their unique identity and acceptance. Their new identity inspired many women in the society to come out of social shackles. The project became new avenue for revenue for women drivers. Under this project, many families survive on women auto drivers' income. Before the project, after hard work, they get very less amount. But auto driving gives them regular and inadequate income according to their works. Psychologically, school children, adolescent girls, and women are more comfortable with female auto drivers. Some auto drivers provide late night service to single women, so women can get auto late night to reach their destination safely. Due to pink auto, women will not face social deviation during transportation. Contribution towards society by pink auto drivers. The Pink Auto project is a journey of making of women auto drivers from a taker to a given in a very short span of time. The readiness of the Pink Auto drivers for the social contribution is evident from their societal work. In COVID lockdown, Pink Auto drivers distributed food at needy person to doorstep with the help of different NGOs. Pink Auto drivers always encourage poor women to take leadership. They set example how to live dignified life in front of others in need. They participate in Pink Run to spread awareness about breast cancers. They always participate in events like Swachhta Hi Seva Abhiyan, Environment Rally, Jal Sanchay Abhiyan. These are the Pink Auto drivers Buniraben with Honorable Vice President and Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Bhai Modi. Successful beneficiaries of Mudra Loan Yojana were invited for dinner at PM House. Pink Auto driver Munira bin Malek, who got necessary financial assistance for procurement her Pink Auto under Prime Minister Mudra Loan Yojana, was invited by Honorable Prime Minister Shri to share her journey and memories in this program. This film picture shows that Pink Auto driver Munira bin with also Vice President Shri Venkata Naidu sir. France delegation also visited Surat city. During one-day visit of Surat, the France Minister Barbara Pompili and France delegation met players of Surat mobility and sustainable city projects. During the visit, they met Pink Auto beneficiaries, traveled through Pink Auto from Surat SMC main office to Adajan Minsk new Surat area. The France Minister appreciated the Pink Auto project. This project also awarded Urban Mobility Award 2018 by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs under the Base City and Urban Transport Initiative category. Pink Auto project also been appreciated by respected Chief Minister Shri on his trip, and various newspapers like Times of India, Indian Express, Surat Times, Gujarat Samachar, and different news channels. This project also future plans like collaborating with Gujarat CSR authorities, Indian Oil Corporation as a e-Pink Autos. Lastly, I would like to end my presentation by quoting that we discuss a lot about women's safety in public transport. Now need to discuss about how public transport safe in women's hand. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for showing how Pink Autos has been able to uplift women, not just economically, but also socially. I would now like to request Mr. Paula Tapia to present on how, on the importance of having a national policy for gender equity in the transport sector. Thank you. Over to you.
Hi, do you listen me? I think. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for this invitation. My name is Paola Tapia. I am the former Minister of Transportation and Telecommunication in Chile during the government of Michelle Bachelet. I was the first female Minister of Transportation in Chile, in my country. Today, I am the head of infrastructure and transport in the metropolitan area in the government in Santiago of Chile, and an academic at the Central University.
Ma'am, we are able to hear some echo from your side.
So?
Some echo. Ma'am, there's some echo from your side.
Okay.
If you If you have earphones or something, ma'am, that will be useful, I think.
Empecé, no telephone.
That's pretty nice. I don't have the echo. It might be it's from your end. Everything is fine. Please go.
Okay?
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah.
Okay. Today, 3 years ago, we created a new group with 7 women in Leipzig, Germany. The name of the group is Women in Motion. We work in order for women to have better mobility in different countries. It is an open group, so we will welcome that you know more about it. Women in Motion. Today, in Chile, in South America, the people have grievances for a better level of education, health, and mobility. Now, in Chile, we are writing a new constitution with a gender perspective, gender equality. For this reason, it is very important for me to be here to share experience and improve people's mobility. I will work in different areas, air transport, marine area, public transportation, and others. In all these areas, the majority of those who worked were men, especially in companies and the private sector in general. We approach the challenge from 2 lines of concrete action. One, how do we incorporate more women in the transport labor world? And then 2, how do we incorporate the vision of women as users of the different public transport services? In both of 2 cases, the existence of a legal and policy framework that government and civil society we can leverage where came. We prepare the first national transportation policy and gender equity.
Ms. Tapia, sorry to interrupt this. I get more messages. Somehow we were not so clear. So your voice. Do you have maybe headphones or speakers, headset? I think that would be work perhaps better.
So they listen, but I don't understand.
So you are not so clear to understand. Sorry. So I was thinking if you have some headset and with speakers, so or could you go a little bit closer to your laptop? Might be helpful as well.
And now, maybe, do you listen me now better or no?
A bit better, I think. Yeah, we try. We try. Okay.
Okay, thank you. About the policy design and formulation, to incorporate more women in the world of work, some data. In Chile, in the National Congress, the representation of women now reached 23%. And in companies, in general, in the board of directors is about 6%. In 27, there were only 42 women in the system out of a total of more than 18,000 male drivers. In 2013, 145 drivers were women. In 2017, there were 571, 3 times more. This is the photography about a little percentage for the women in general in the system transport of the metropolitan area. The police framework begins in the internal level. Annual gender training training, institutional institutionalizes the gender approach in public administration. Gender Commission and UNIT, gender measure and strategies. Internal gender equity policy, mobility, security, accessibility, and efficiency. Human resource policies development with a gender perspective, nurses, good practice, flexible hours. The first step is internal level. The next is strengthen networking. We create the first permanent public and private table to promote labor inclusion. We also create initiatives such as the Women in Rules Award to highlight public and private companies that have incorporated relevant initiatives in gender issues. For the service usuaries, Santiago, the city, is one of the capitals of Latin America with the most cases of sexual abuse in public transport. Although, after years of discussions, the approval of the law that sanctions it was achieved promotes the civil society through the Observatory of Harassment. The actions being without even the existence of a law. The first transport gender equity policy, March 2018, established objectives, institutional. Desmasculinization of the labor market, infrastructure design, operational design, and gender balance. This is the photography in the first transport gender equity policy in Chile, and this policy continues in the next government. This is the organization, Women in Motion. It's very important for me. You know, and the other project, the future project, is very important communication because it's the work organization and the invitation for them is open. Gracias en español, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Paula Tapia, for showing for this insightful session. We'll now move on to the question and answer session. So we have the first question for Deepti ma'am. So for Deepti ma'am, we have the question, what are some of the insights from the gender-based data that you have been collected? Does group make this data public for better universal design? If not, will it be looking into doing this? We also have another question. Has Crude looked into making bus disabled friendly? Deepti ma'am, if you can take these questions.
There are two questions. Krishna, first part is data analytics, I hope, about the gender disaggregated data. Is it that? Yeah.
Yes.
So in that part, I would say we have a dedicated team of transport planner also, and ITS experts also in the CRUTT, who are analyzing the data that are being received by us. So we have the system in place. Data analytics is being done every weekly basis. I take a review of the same also, and before getting into designing a new route, all these data analytics are being taken into considerations while designing the timing, trips, and everything. And the second one is the disabled friendly bus that is being talked about. Actually, this is not a disabled friendly bus. It's not low floor bus actually. The height is 450 mm, so not exactly disabled friendly, but no, if someone with the blind or the other handicapped who can actually board the bus, we are giving discounts to all these passengers, and their experts also.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the answers. We'll now move on to Meeta ma'am. Meeta ma'am, for you, we have got the question that we totally agree with your voice on working on human skills. And there is a huge need to build motor training centers exclusively for women to train women. Can this be taken at a national policy and introduced in every state, ma'am? Can something of this sort be done, ma'am?
Yes, do you listen me? Oh,
Hello. Meeta ma'am, are you there with us?
no me puedes.
Yeah, Paula, we can hear you.
Krishna, I think maybe she's disconnected.
Meeta ma'am is disconnected.
Yeah, it seems.
Meeta has left, Krishna. Meeta ma'am has left.
Okay, so we'll go on to the next question. So I think Viju sir has also left, but since we have Jyotilal sir here, sir, we would like to direct the question to you for Kerala. What are KSRTC's challenge in making administration more gender equal? What about women in executive positions in the sector? Sir, if you would be able to take this question, sir.
Yeah. Good evening. See, KSRTC is one of the first, I think around 30 years back when we were all in the colleges, we had ladies only buses. See, that is a prime thing, which helps, So, second one is maybe challenges in this sector. If you see conductors, we recruit a conductor, 1/3 of them have to be compulsorily women. But the challenges will be, as you say, a lot of infrastructure issues need to be addressed so that, women, they can't work in the night, or you need to provide them separate safe rooms or in the bus stands. And they can't operate in the remote routes. Maybe city service, it's okay. So these are, but in the top positions, we don't have. Probably we need, at present, we started with the, recruiting level. That is at the base level of conductors, drivers, and maybe entry cadres in the. So by the time they come to the top positions, it may take at least maybe 10-15 years. So executive positions, I think their representation is limited. Then KSRTC, otherwise, I think I think they have been. I think the study report by the GIZ that gives what are the bottlenecks and what are the issues to be addressed, which will make that women feel safe to travel in the public transport. Mr. Biju Pravar was mentioning about the tracking of the buses, then putting cameras so that the children, who are traveling can be tracked and by their parents. Then ensuring safety. Then the panic button. In fact, there are also a lot of issues are there because the panic comes to the motor vehicle control room. At present, we are able to, I think, monitor roughly around 2 lakh vehicles at a time. But the panic button comes from everywhere. Then the motor vehicle control room has to pass it on to the police station nearby. So that's why the integration of the various control rooms, whether it is police and motor vehicles together, and unified command control center becomes very much required. Otherwise, the issue needs to be addressed immediately. Then some issues what we found is the data. As I said, I like the Orissa this gender-based ticket data. Probably we are to do the gender-based ticket data. That's a very good suggestion. Probably we should adopt, and we will definitely think of that. That will help in planning. I think I will conclude with one statement. In fact, the last time I think the IMF economic advisor of IMF, Geeta, her mother had called once. We know them well. So they were going to Guruvayur. In between, there's a place city called Trichur. So they went to the bus stands facility, but then they said it's so pathetic. After that, now we are getting the bus stands renovated so that in airports anyone can go because everybody if we can build 4 international airports. Can't we build some bus stands which are like bus port? That's why we brought a concept called bus port and logistics port, where we will provide the best facility what I get in any of the airports, so that women feel safe. One is, I am sure that people who are traveling by air, they feel safe even day or night, because there are people, there are safety norms are there. Then you make sure that you give the best infrastructure for the passengers. I think this is what the bus port concept is, a great thing for, so that people will feel confident and they can take rest. In fact, there can be retiring rooms where they will, if they have to stay overnight, or maybe their buses at odd times, I think that facility has to be provided. These are all on our plan: bus ports, logistics, as well as what is it? Then more recruitment. Then when people come together, there is power. So when women come together, there is a safety, feeling of safety. Then it becomes a more what is it? They become power. The empowerment is basically when you need to bring more people into the system. So that maybe executive level, we need to think of maybe direct recruitment or so to fill up the gap. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would now hand over to Andrea. Andrea.
Okay. Yeah, here I'm audible. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, but at the end, so yeah, so thank you, Krishna, and all participants for sharing their question and their thoughts. And so nearly we come to an end, and I would like to ask Mr. Jyotilal again for the closing remarks now.
Thank you, Ms. Andrea, Madam Meeta Ravi Lochan, Ma'am, Member Secretary of the National Women's Commission, then other panelists. In fact, I was just listening to the entire talk. It was very, very informative. It's a good news that the world across cities, how to make it safe for women to travel. That is gaining momentum. So if I think in nutshell, if I say, what is development? Development means mobility. Development means mobility in the sense either the atoms move, molecules move, material move, men and women move. Basically, the human. So man, material, or data moves. Now, yes, in a digital age, the data movement also is development, because you make money, economy grows when data to information to knowledge. So automatically the processing happens. So it is basically mobility. Now you can integrate with the digital age. I think we are able to analyze the data, and then unlike the olden times when surveys need to be done in a physical platform, probably the data can be collected and which can be analyzed, and that's what I think the gender-based ticket data. In fact, Kerala is one of the few states we have got a gender budgeting. There's something called gender budgeting. Just like we have got a budget for the state. Out of this gender budgeting, how much money is allotted for gender by various departments? That is being compiled. Then we analyze. There's a member planning who looks after only gender issues. So her duty is to compile what all in each department, how many women have been employed, how many are given, what is an unorganized sector, how much of budget is being spent for gender issues. So that is very crucial. Probably that's why the Kochi Metro is one of the first metro in the entire country to engage them as the best pilot. Generally, what happens is we treat them, okay, menial jobs or small jobs. We said, okay, when the metro is run, let it be run by transgender. So we have got a transgender first time recruit to run they are like pilot. It's a dignified job. But there are issues on how to, maybe a lot of issues might have to be addressed. But even then, give them the best job so they are capable of running it. That's a proof. Now, then there's a saying that a country to development happens. It's a belief wherever women are respected and protected. That is it's a positive signal for the development. Wherever women are suppressed and not given respect, I think that area or that country will never prosper. You can see where a country with peace means where women are respected. Country means women are harassed or suppressed or that means that is that country is not good place to live, or that place is not ideal for. That means that is not going up; it's only going down. So respect and safety are the two things for women are is essential for development of any country. So I am very happy that most of the cities across the country as well as outside are thinking about women, mobility issues of women, as well as the need for mobility. Because development happens only if people move. If you restrict, you can never. Lockdown is the best. When lockdown came, all the entire world economy also has come to a standstill. Then now everybody says, okay, let COVID be there. We have to live with it. Much more danger is if you don't allow mobility to the human being. So. In fact, I was just mentioning KSRTC is one of the first ones to bring women only buses, ladies only buses. Now for fisherwomen, for example, another class of community is fisherwomen who go for fish vending. They come the day and in late night. There are no safety, no security, no wake, and nobody takes them because they are carrying the fish. No one wants to take them in the bus. They will ask them to get out. So we put exclusively women, fisherwomen alone, separate buses are put. I think those are all the marginalized sections, and most of them have got, I think, I find that because they don't even get nice toilets. So what happens is urinary tract infection is very rampant in those women. So those issues, gender issues need to be addressed. So that means better infrastructure need to be provided in all the bus stands and bus stops and all the public places. Then second is the right time, the right time when their business is over, or when they're say that day, generally they get back by late night only to their house. So we provided exclusive buses with protection of police, so that is taken care of. So that shows the need for infrastructure requirement. As I think Madam Mita Revolution has mentioned, see, technology is nothing but a technology. It's only a trick, but it doesn't change the. So you need the generally in IT is saying that it's a software, hardware, and humanware. Out of these three wares are equally important, but most important is the humanware. It's a computer which works behind the computer. So it's not the hardware or the software. It's much easier. Probably hardware is the easiest to procure, but the humanware, that means the capacity building of the humanware, human resources is very, very crucial. And that is where there also capacity building means why should people take interest? They are interest. They have what? So what happened? How to change their mindset? So mindset is a transformation. It's not information is much more easier. Transformation of mindset happens. It's like it's a mind is a bundle of thoughts. So that means it's a vibration. So how do you change it? That means the transformation is a slow process. It can happen by force or by source. By force means a legal framework. So probably ma'am was mentioning that we have got one of the best legislations in the world. So that means legislation or by force legal framework setup is there. But by source, unless the people's attitude also changes, that is where I think awareness building and education on gender issues is a must. I think then so that their attitude towards the women has to change. So that's a much more crucial. Then another point which comes to my mind is that see, we had seen that Abhaya case and all, but even some of the transport agencies are not willing to share the data. Actually, open data platforms is very crucial. If you have to get, see, you can't, no operator can say whether it is Uber, Ola, or any of them. On it's a safety of women, then you cannot say my data server is in US, I can't share the data. See, men are more valuable than all the wealth of the world. That is a primary thing. Let there be wealth. Maybe your company policy is not effective, but safety of women, safety of men are more important than all our data points or our policies. That comes only secondary. So that's why the law comes. When law is replaced by love only, the world, all the issues happen. Whether it's a mother-in-law, or father-in-law, father-in-law. So it's a love. It's a basically human love that is very important. If you then the transformation happens only when that the mindset is reoriented. So the point which I was trying to impress is that see, we brought the open mobility network. that's a protocol for, so that you integrate various modes of transport and people, it'll become easy for us to also design the routes, then help them ease of transit between various modes. Kochi is our first city probably in the world to go for an open mobility network. In fact, we launched it last time with the auto rickshaws. We'll soon be extending to auto taxis, etc., so that it becomes easier for people to switch over. Then they were mentioning about the cameras for safety. That's definitely good for them, so that parents can monitor. Then I have said about the Kudumbasri, another, when people come together, there is power. Power and authority, what is the greatest power? Greatest power is when people come together. There's a community development happens. United, people come together, they unite. So this is one opportunity we can give them, as Biju was mentioning, that when people, most of the areas, and they were not willing to walk because very limited number of people are traveling, they won't feel safe. So that's why you make them come together, so that then they get the confidence. Then some of the legislation, probably urban bus specification, MOHO has already amended it. That's a good thing. Nirbhaya fund has been given to, I think, most of the states. Then I think some more policy and advisory level at national level, as I said, on open data platform. In fact, Google will be able to share the full data. They know where all we travel. So why not we give the master data, so that we know what are the travel requirements of women. Accordingly, you can plan maybe separate buses or safe buses for them. And the travel needs of women are slightly different from the men. Men can travel anytime, but so that to ensure safety, I think that we need to look for these big companies. In fact, telecom companies, and in my opinion, telecom companies as well as the Google, all these IT companies should be able to share the data on a master data, not individual data, because we cannot get into privacy issues. But master data will be quite useful. Will be more. It's a real time, and that data can be skilled, and we can get the. Actually, we can prepare the platform for their safe travel. So some policy, some advisory issues need to be addressed at national level, so that this becomes new normal or new norms. Then first mile and last mile connectivity is another crucial issue in most of the public transport. Then involve them in the preparing the development plan or mobility plan, because now I think at least we have got most of the local bodies. I think when representation is quite good. In fact, some of the places they are the chairperson. In fact, they are all reserved for them. So there is a good representation there. But even then, when the plan preparation or implementation comes, their involvement is very crucial. Then awareness building I have already covered in my earlier talk. And then we are very thankful to GIZ for doing the gender study for the Kerala, and we have taken it at the highest level. And in fact, both the Metropolitan Transport Authority of Kochi, the KSRTC, Motor Vehicle Department, all of them have gone through it. We are at various stages of implementation of the recommendation. Once again, I thank GIZ for giving an in-depth study into the gender issue, so that we can address those critical gaps and make Kerala and Kerala is by far, Kerala is the only state probably where the women outnumber men, partly because our men, most of them go abroad, but even otherwise, that means the women, we had at least in Travancore side, it's a matriarchal society, whether women is the head of the houses, so they control the house. So that is one thing. So the women population is more, and it's in that way Kerala can be a first, maybe safest place for women to travel. I am sure we will take it. We will take up the implementation in a very serious manner. Thanking you once again for giving an opportunity. I'm very happy that all the cities across the globe has started thinking of it, and it will be a big movement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jyotirlal. So thank you for summarizing our lessons learned from today's session. and also hear your ideas and visions how women's safety can improve further. And to mention also our Kerala study, so we might share so Krishna, please share also our summary from our report in the chat, so the participants are able to download. And then I would like to hand over to Shalini for the final words.
Thank you, Andrea. Good evening, everyone. So this Mobilogue session today brought out some very important and pertinent aspects on gender mobility. And there are some very innovative projects, initiatives which are being taken in various cities in Bhubaneswar, Surat, Kerala, and Chile, which were discussed today. As this event draws to an end, on behalf of Center of Excellence in Urban Transport, CEPT University, and GIZ, I would first like to thank Srimati Meeta Rajiv Lochan for a keynote address highlighting Government of India's initiatives on women's safety, and also on the need for upscaling human resources along with the technology. We had a set of very interesting and informative presentations. Ms. Dipti Mahapatra, who talked on CRUT's initiatives towards gender-sensitive public transport. Shri Biju Prabhakar, who talked about the comprehensive set of measures which are being taken for women's safety in the state of Kerala. Ms. Gayatri Zariwala, who talked about the Pink Auto Rickshaw project and how it has helped in the empowerment of women. Ms. Paula Tapia, who discussed the national policy design and formulation on gender equity. We also had Shri Jyotilal Sir, who in his concluding remarks, who summed up the key findings or the key points from today's speakers. And he talked about the initiatives like gender budgeting, measures which were focusing on the marginalized women group being taken in Kerala, and influencing the livelihoods. He also reiterated the importance of data sharing, and the data analytics. Alongside with that, he talked about the need for changing mindset of people through capacity building and the legislations that we have. Thank you to all the distinguished panelists and speakers for sharing their experiences and the useful insights. Thanks to Andrea and Krishna for moderating the session. We would also like to thank all the participants for their questions. Due to time constraints, if we have not been able to take some of the questions, we will try to revert on those queries through email. We would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge MAWA's support in all our activities. Lastly, before we end, thanks to the CEPT and the GIZ team for organizing an event like this, because it requires a lot of meticulous planning and teamwork. We do hope that all the participants found this Mobilogue session useful. Please do join us for the next Mobilogue, which is on e-mobility transition in India. And this is scheduled on 30th September 2021. Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, everyone.